Typically, most Canadians don't understand the difference between term insurance and permanent insurance. They don't understand what they have. And so this is really a very simplified version so that they can help understand what they have or what they're looking for. So term insurance and permanent insurance, right? So term insurance, very inexpensive, right? And the reason it's very inexpensive is because the three main versions are 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you're really going to pick the amount of time for what you're trying to cover. So if you have a mortgage for 20 years, you're going to choose a term 20 to cover off that debt for 20 years. When it comes to term insurance, right, I talk a lot about renting a house, right? You don't own it, you don't build equity, you make your payment, you get to live there. The term insurance is very similar. You make your payment, you get to be covered for it, you don't own it, and at the end of that time frame, in this case 20 years, if you don't want it anymore, it goes away. Term insurance also typically only pays out about 3% of the time, and that's because it really truly covers those out-of-the-box catastrophic type car accidents, workplace accidents, etc. And so because we pay for it and most of the time we don't pay, it doesn't pay out, it's very inexpensive for that reason. The neat part to know about term insurance, two things. One, it's renewable and what's called convertible. So renewable means that at the end of that time frame, in this case 20 years, if I want to keep it, I can keep it. Now, there's a few things to know. If you're going to keep it, you don't have to prove any medical, you don't have to answer any questions, you just have to make the premium payment. But in doing that, the cost is actually gonna triple, quadruple. It'll be a lot more expensive because you don't have to prove that you're still healthy, right? The reason they gave it to you in the first place at a very cheap cost is because you proved that you were healthy. If we renew it, it's gonna be very expensive, so we need to be very careful of that. However, if we have a cancer, heart attack, stroke, something that's happened to us in that 20-year period, I get to keep it, no questions asked. We just have to make sure that we can cover the premium. Term insurance also is what's called convertible, which means at any point in time in that 20-year period, I can convert it to permanent. Now, if we talk about permanent, it's going to be a lot more expensive for the same thing. And the reason is because you have it for your entire life. So as long as you've made the premium payment, and there's three main versions, what's called a 10 pay, a 20 pay, and a life pay. So I'm either gonna pay for 10 years, 20 years, or pay for life. But as long as those premiums are made, my policy's with me, it's contractually guaranteed to pay out, which means there's going to be a death benefit. And the neat part about that is that it's like owning a house. So I actually get to build the equity inside the house. I can use it while I'm alive. There's a lot more benefits that come along with it, but that's part of the cost of it, which is why it's a little bit more expensive. Because it's permanent, it's with my entire life, with me for my entire life, 100% it's going to pay out, like I mentioned. And there's two versions, very different versions. One is called a universal life policy. One is called a whole life policy. And there's two little minor differences. When it comes to universal life, that's what's called a market-driven product, which means I can earn a return or I can lose. So I constantly have that volatility or that fluctuation with the investment component. And then whole life is a dividend-driven product, which means I either can get a dividend from the company or I can't. And it looks more like a staircase where I either get one or I don't, I get one or I don't, I get one or I don't. And so it's a little bit more flexibility in the sense of being able to borrow the cash value, but that's a whole nother conversation. And so really understanding the difference between term and permanent, what makes sense for you and why it makes sense for you is what this is all about.